Hello everyone, in today's session we are going to learn about REST assured Java training, and the level of the training would be intermediate level. So if you have learned about the basic level or the beginner level of your REST assured Java training, you might have just learned about what is REST assured Java, how to do a simple testing in REST assured Java. You have also seen how to read and write a JSON data and getting all the information like status code, etc. Right? Now let's start and take a more detail in REST assured Java with this intermediate level course. So let's begin with this course. So the difficulty level of this course would be at intermediate level, and to start with this course you must have the following skill sets. This skill sets includes basic knowledge of core Java. Since we know the basic, we should have the knowledge of core Java because working with the REST assured Java requires the language of Java to write the code on it. Then REST assured Java beginners. So you should have the beginners knowledge also for the REST assured Java in order to work with the intermediate level easily. Then knowledge of Postman. Since passing different requests can be done easily on Postman, so what we have to do is we need to remember different types of requests which will be passing through the Postman. And Eclipse, because we are going to write the code of REST assured Java in Eclipse, so we should also have the knowledge of Eclipse with us, right? Now, course objectives. From this course, what are we going to learn? So from this course, participants will be able to implement, that is, testing RESTful API using REST assured Java, different types of requests in testing, authentication, serialization. What will you learn in this course? So following scenarios or following topics you're gonna learn from this course. This includes get, post and delete request. You're gonna learn about different requests. Then different requests, as I said you, authorizations and deserialization. These are the following things that you'll learn from this course. Are there any course requirement or prerequisites? Yes, in order to start with any course or any project, we have certain requirements and prerequisites, right? So these requirements and prerequisites are: you should have knowledge of basics of Java, because when we are writing the code in REST assured Java, we are using Java language to write the code. So we should have the knowledge of Java in order to learn REST assured Java. Manual testing basics. Since REST assured Java is morely focused on testing, so what are we going to do over here is we are going to just see, we are not doing any sort of automation testing over here exactly. What are we going to do is we are just creating test cases. So we have to maintain the test cases in our manual testing way also. So we should also have to know the basic knowledge of manual testing. Then REST assured Java beginners. So you should have the beginners knowledge also for REST assured Java in order to continue with the intermediate level. And following software should be installed in your system. These softwares are Eclipse, REST assured Java plugins or the jar files for REST assured Java, and Postman. Who are the target students? So any participant who are working as a software tester or who are willing to work as a software testers, you can learn this course. Any participants working as a QA, quality analyst, or willing to work as a quality analyst can learn this course. Participant who wish to learn about API testing. Any participant who wish to learn about API testing, how API testings are done. And participants who want to learn RESTful automation testing. So if you are creating a RESTful API or you say REST API, how you can do testing, or how you can learn testing, or you can say how you can perform testing in REST assured Java by using automation testing. Okay. By the end of this course, you will have the following skill sets. These skill sets are: you will understand about different requests in REST assured Java. So we're going to talk about different requests. Achieve authentications, achieve authorizations, achieve serialization and deserialization. Okay, So now in the next slide, on the next session, we are going to start with the different requests in rest assured Java. Okay, so in this session, we are going to start with creating different types of request parameters in rest assured Java. So basically what I've done is I'm just creating a new project right now. So I'll just go to new and Java project. Now, if you do not want to create a Java project, you simply can create a Maven project and add dependencies to it. So like I'll name this as second test because I have to create a test file for it, right? Now, there are two things which we need to add is in this project. So we will just go to the build path. We will say configure build path. The first thing which we have to add is the libraries. So I'm adding all these libraries from here, which is required. And second thing which we need to add is a test ng. So we'll just come over here and say over here that we are creating a test ng, like convert to test ng. Because we are creating as a test case, so we need to tell that this is a particular test ng data. Okay, don't worry if it doesn't comes, then we can just write down, it will definitely achieve it. Now let's talk about different request parameters in our rest assured Java, right? So as I said you, different requests will be your different datas, right? So basically we have request depends on the type of data which we have. For example, let's take an example to understand this more detailed. Okay, so I have this particular Google Chrome right now. Now we will take the data. So we know with the data is in the request response .in. From here I'm taking my data. This is just a trial data. So now if we check over here, this data will get from the get request. This is from the get request. This is from the get request. This is from the get request. If I want to create a data, then it's from the post request. Then if I want to update a data, it has a put request. If I want to update the data, I can also use a patch request. If I want to delete a data, I have a delete request, right? So different types of requests like get, post, put, patch, etc. we are going to learn right now in this particular session. So let's start with step by step. So let's see the first one, that is called as get data. We have already tried with the get data, but still we are doing one simple program to understand it more easily. So coming to this part, I will be just telling a right click on the src new, and we'll create a class name as get request demo. Okay, so we are creating this class as a get request demo class and just clicking on the finish tab. Like in previous cases, if you have seen my programs in rest assured Java basic level, you might have seen that I have created basic test classes, right? So same thing which we are going to do over here also, we are going to do the same. So let's say if I'm telling public void, now if we check this data, this is just a list of users, right? So I will be telling get users. Now what we have to do? So let's see the basic steps. We know the basic steps, right? That's this basic step starts from rest assured dot base URI. So basically we need a URI for it, or you can take a path, but I'm taking the URI right now, and the URI which we'll be getting is we will take this URI. I'll just take this URI from here. I just don't want to do it in a difficult way, so I'm taking the URI from here. Or else if you want to get to know about this URI, you can check over here that rdqrds.in, then there's telling /API and then /user. So if I click over here, it tells me /users, right? So I'm taking that is rdqres.in/API because API was there already mentioned, right? Now coming to the next step of this, request specification, that's like rdq request is equal to rest assured dot given. Okay, now the next step for this, okay, we have to just import the packages. You remember this? One more thing, since we are doing this in the test-ng test cases, so remember to not forget and write @test annotation. If you do not write this, you will not get to work with the test-ng library or your particular rest assured Java easily. See, your test-ng has also been imported now, and we'll just import this file. Now, in order to work with the GET request, we are taking the response. So basically, response res is equal to request dot request. Now, the type of the request, so like method dot get. So here I am calling a GET request. Here I am trying to work with the GET request, that whatever response I'll be getting is from the request type of method GET. Because we are typing the method GET, that means we are getting the list of users or a single users or anything which you want to find it out. Now coming to the next part, okay, we will just okay, let's just try to print only this thing. So like string data is equal to response dot get body dot as string, and then if you want to print, you can just use system out. So I'm using sysout and I'm pressing Ctrl space for the shortcut in Eclipse, and then just print this. Now if I want to run this particular test case, if I want to check whether my GET request is working or not, you can just click on the run tab. If you do not want to click on run tab, you can just right click on it, run as, and you can just write it over here that run as test-ng test case. Okay, so right now your particular data for the test case is working. You can check the console has started executing your particular suite or executing your particular @test case annotations, and the data has been checked. If you come to check the result, it shows you that all the one test was there, that one test has been passed, no failure, and nothing is skipped. That means your particular GET request is working successfully. So just remember that we need to change this method every time in order to change the request. But now if in case of put, patch or post, how the difference would be given to us. So now we will see this thing in the next step. So in the next session, we are going to see how to send a request or how to get the request by using post method. Okay. So now in this step, we are going to see how to work with post request data. So for example, now in the previous example, we have seen that how to get the request by using GET request, right? So we are talking about different requests right now. So let's talk about post request now. So I'll just create a new class for it. Okay, let's name this class as post request demo, and we'll just finish this class. Now coming to the post request, as I said you, let's come to the URL and check. So in the post request, we have post request for creating a data, for a registration to be get successful, for registration unsuccessful, for login successful, and for login unsuccessful, right? So let's take an example that if I'm taking a registration, so registration would have an email ID and a password. This email ID and password should be entered, and after entering this, the response will be a 200. That is, the status code will be a 200. Coming to create a particular user. So in order to create the user, you need the username and the job details. ID will be created automatically, and this data will created automatically. So that means if you want to create a user also, you just need a name and you just need a job. In case if you want to register the data, you need an email ID and a password. And in case if you are working for a login of data, then again you need a username and a password, right? So let's consider that if I want to create a data. So in order to create a data, just remember by passing the request, we need a name and we need the job. There's two things we need at the initial level. So let's write the code in order to store the data into this. So in order to do that, I will be creating a method. So the method name will be public void add user. So this is the method name. Now let's do the basic steps first of all. So like rest assured dot base URI is equal to your request response.in slash API. That's the basic request. Then giving the request specification. So request specification REQ is equal to rest assured dot given. Now again remember to do this part, because since we do not know, see, when we are creating a data, we also need to write the data, right? Now if I want to write a data, how will I do that? If I want to add a data, if I want to write a data, how will I do that, right? So for that, remember the data is in the form of JSON, right? This particular data, see, whenever you're working with a JSON data, it is always in a curly brackets, and this should have colon in between the key and values. So if I am storing this data in a JSON format, and if I want to store the data also in a JSON format, what will I do then? So in order to store your data as a form of a JSON data, we will just write JSON object. So basically this class JSON objects helps to create the data into a JSON formats, or writing a data into JSON format. So let's say we'll write REQ parameter, request parameter is equal to new JSON object. So I've created the object for this class called as JSON object. Okay, we are getting an error. Let's see, change to JSON object, right? Just a moment. I don't. Okay. See, we are not getting it because we do not have an particular URL for this. We need one more thing to be added. That's org dot JSON. No, we don't have this. Dot simple dot JSON object. Okay, so we need to download this particular jar file for the JSON object. Okay, I'll just download it. Okay, so you can see I have downloaded this JSON simple jar file. Now we will add this JSON simple jar file over here first of all in order to work with it. So we'll just go to build path, configure build path, and in this we will click on add external jar. Now over here, if you check out, we have JSON simple 1.1. This is the JSON file which we require over here. Once we import that package, you can see here we got import org.json.simple.json object. So basically this JSON object class is helping you to write the data in a JSON format. Now how will we write this data? So you just need to write request parameter dot put. When we use this called as put method, now remember what data we want to add. So you're telling you name and the name, right? So let's say if I take over here name and I want to write the name over here. So let's take the name as Tracy. Okay. Now again REQ parameter dot put, and the second parameter is a job, right? And the value, let's say, is senior quality analyst. Okay, so that's the job designation. Now, do we want anything else? I don't think so. We need anything else, because see, when it is telling you that if you want to add the data, so the request would be name and job, and by the response you will be getting the ID also for it and created ad according to it. So now what we have to do, this is the parameters which I have also already mentioned it. Now converting this data, so req dot body, we need to convert this into body, that is req parameter dot to JSON string. So what we are doing is, whatever data over here we have in this req parameters is now converted to a JSON string and the body is created. Now what we have to do? Now we need to pass this data, right? So how will I pass this data? Just simply we can do, okay, I have put this data here. So simply I can do is, I'll add response res is equal to request dot, now coming to this next part that is called as post request. Since I told you that we are not working this time with the get request, we are working with the post request. So we have to call the method called as post over here. Now when we said that we are working with the post request, we have called this post over here. Now after getting this post, now where we have to get this post, right? So we need to tell that your API is there. Now in this API you just call the user. See, it is telling you this is data is there in API slash users, right? And already when I'm working with this, I've already mentioned API. So I just am mentioning the users right now over here, nothing else than that. Now the next part is to get the status code. So int status code is equal to response dot get status code. Okay, and let's print this status code to check the output. So let's say status code is to be printed over here. Now let's run this code to check whether my particular test case is working or not successfully. But yes, one thing which we have missed it over here is put @test. If we do not post it, then definitely we cannot execute this as a test case, right? Now let's run this code and see what we get as an output. So you can see my test ng started to creating that suite and creating that test case and trying to run this. So it's run right now and the test is passed, no failure, no nothing. We will just come over here and you can see that this particular test case is passed successfully and it gives me a status code of 201. It gives me a status code of 201, right? The response over here is also 201, right? Now what we can do is, in order to just get more essential information, we can write assert dot assert equals the actual status code. What we got is over here is this, and what we are expected is 201, correct? Now if I run this code, because see, I got my status code as also 201, which was already expected. So this particular assert equals will work successfully. If it doesn't work, then fine. Then we'll come to that, yeah, different test cases working. Here you can see this particular test case is also executed successfully. So just to remember, whenever you're working with the post method, you have to first add the data. Check the data, add your requests at the particular URL that where you are working with. So if I'm working with requesting the data, telling you that you need just a name and the job detail, which we need to add, right? So that I have took over here. Now the next step what we have to do is convert this data as a body parameter, that is converting as one particular JSON string, and passing this response as a method of post. And then once we pass this as a post, we'll get the status code according to it. So now in the next step, we'll see how we can use put method in put request in REST assured Java. Okay.